How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Strictly Nintendo, where we are going to try a little bit different format than usual, and that is the podcast format. Now, this was actually suggested to me by KC Liston, so if you like this, be sure to give Casey a huge thank you in the comments below. Personally, I think this is a great idea, given the downtime and the situation. I think this is a great way for me to stay in touch with all of you and share, just the fun and just talk about games and have that connection with my fellow Nintendo gamers. So, it's one of those things, well, this is the pilot episode where we're just going to talk about what this is about and then maybe hit up on the Nintendo Direct in a minute. This is the pilot episode. This is not the first official episode, so we're trying to find our bearings. We're going to refine things. We're going to evolve things and get better as we go along. And I think that, if it's something that y'all really enjoy, then let me know. And even when the channel comes back full force, I can still do this. Why not, right? I have decided to name this podcast the Fireside Podcast. Now, why? Because it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I think that's weird, and I figured, screw it. What have I got to lose? See, that's really funny if you remember the whole situation with the flooding. People, you have to laugh about these things, all right? Come on. But yeah, and that will probably explain the image that you're seeing with me sitting in front of a fireplace with my cat, looking at a gamepad on top of the fireplace mantle. But that's, I came up with this image based on deciding to call it the Fireside Podcast. And I did create it in Photoshop. I use Photoshop CS4. I've had that for a while, actually ever since I enrolled in the Art Institute several years back, which that's a different story and not a positive one, so we'll skip that. But I actually, if y'all don't know this, I'm actually kind of sort of endorsed by Magix, and I use Magic software. Now, I actually used Magic software before I got the endorsement, and I really just got the endorsement because I'm such a big fanboy. And I use Video Pro X for all my video work, and I use Sequoia for all my audio work in my recording studio. I use Sequoia for recording, editing, mixing, mastering, the whole 9 yards. And I now also use it for post-production of voiceovers and things like that for my video work, or now for the podcast. Well, actually, I won't be using it for the podcast because my parents' computer is not good enough to run it. But my parents' computer is good enough to run Video Pro X because it's not really a processor or graphics-intensive program. It's actually pretty lean and mean and has all the tools I need for it. And I was able to just download it from my Magix account and get it up and running. So that is how I'm able to marry this lovely, lovely audio of my super amazing voice to this image. And up there on the gamepad screen, you're seeing a little image now. But at any point in time, it could change to another image or even a video clip that is relevant to the topic of discussion. So that's what's going on here. I wanted to be a little bit enjoyable. I didn't want you looking at a cartoon picture of me and my cat the whole time. I don't know if that matters, but I wanted to throw in a little bit of fun element, so I decided to do that. But, that's what we're going to do here. And, for instance, I wanted to talk about the Nintendo Direct that we saw on November 12th, because it was the first one that we've seen since the untimely and unfortunate passing of Iwata. I think it is great that they're honoring him by keeping the Direct alive and keeping his vision going forward. I thought that Nintendo of America did a great job. Even though Reggie's really corporate-y, I like the fact that he's not afraid to act goofy, even if it's kind of stiff, and I like the fact that Nintendo of America has this ability to not take themselves too seriously, but get across the important details of things. Like, I think the coverage of Xenoblade Chronicles X and the way that Nintendo's pimping that and really promoting it and getting the hype out there for the game's launch on December 4th, which I will have the SE edition. Yes, the special edition. I cannot wait for that. But I like the fact that they're really doing that, and they're going to dedicate a whole Direct to Xenoblade Chronicles, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I like the fact that they're really getting out that information, and even in passing, they mentioned Devil's Third, which, obviously, like I said, that's a little bit of a controversy behind that game, but I'm looking forward to it. And, when the game comes out, I'll do an actual review segment on one of these podcasts and tell you straight up the good, the bad, the ugly, the whole 9 yards of it. But I like that fact. I like the fact that they hit up on things like Fast Racing Neo. Awesome. That's a great game. In fact, I was streaming it on my Wii to my parents' TV in the den, which they have a gorgeous TV. And my mom was watching the direct with me. And when Fast Racing Neo came on, she was like, holy crap, that looks amazing. You have to get this. She was telling me that I have to buy a game. And the fact that they're promoting that, the fact that they talked about Typo Man, I think that these things are really important. They talked about Dragon Quest. They talked about Lego Marvel Adventures, and we'll talk about this in a future podcast, but I think that the two most important things Nintendo can do with the NX to really win back the important third-party developers is A, go x86. That's a must, because the easier you make it for that developer to get their game up and running on your platform, the less time and money they have to invest in it, so it's less of a risk to them. So they have to go x86, which I think that's pretty much all but confirmed, that AMD is building the chipsets for the NX, and that it is x86. And then the other thing is Nintendo has to mention third-party developers. I talked about this when I touched on the E3 performance. They have to mention it, even if they don't have to go into detail. They just have to mention it. If they do like a 5-minute segment that just shows like 30 seconds of gameplay footage and shows the name of the game, the developer, and the release date or time frame, so if it's like Game X developed by or published by company Z and coming out December 4th. If that's all they do, 30 seconds with that information, then move to the next one. Just to get people interested, and if it's going to be a big title, if it's going to be, something like Dragon Quest, for instance, spend a little bit of time on it. Spend a little extra time. Instead of 30 seconds, spend a minute on it. And, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to throw those into a 45-minute direct, if we're talking like a 5-minute segment. So Nintendo has to do that. And I think that it's great that they did touch up on that. Like I said, mentioning Devil's Third in passing, talking about Shin and Fast Racing Neo, talking about Typo Man. These are the things that Nintendo needs to do, and I see more boldness from Nintendo now, and I really want to see that, because, like I said, I never played the GameCube when it was around, and I converted my Wii into a GameCube when I got my Wii U, so now I'm experiencing the GameCube generation, and I saw so much risk-taking, and, we're starting to see that now with them doing, White Knighting Devil's Third, White Knighting Bayonetta 2, doing more collaborative work like Hyrule Warriors, or having Platinum working on Star Fox Zero. These are the things we need to see from Nintendo. And then they have Splatoon, which has been a huge surprise, and it's got amazing legs. It's performing well. It's such a blast. There's, the confirmation in the Direct that the free updates with new gear, new weapons, and new maps through the end of January 2016. Whatever happens after that remains to be seen, but this is the direction that I think they should go. And I really hope that Splatoon gives them a kick in the pants and gets them more interested in taking those kinds of risks. And like I mentioned in a past video, I think that VG Charts has Bayonetta at around 800,000 units sold, which, obviously VG Charts is questionable, but in my experience, they're not too far off. Sometimes they're high. I really think that game most likely is around 800,000, and I think that's good enough for a niche game. Obviously, I'd like to have seen it break 1 million and be more popular, because Platinum does amazing work, and they deserve the recognition. They deserve the success. But I like the fact Splatoon's been great. Super Mario Maker's been great. I've enjoyed the amiibo support. I've unlocked all the special suits that you can get through playing the 100 Mario Challenge on easy. Now I'm working on normal, and then I'm going to go into advanced. I honestly kind of find myself enjoying more the playing the game side of things than the creating the levels. But I enjoy that. Xenoblade Chronicles, again, looks gorgeous. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's like around 120 hours to 100% that game. That's insane. I love that. I love JRPGs, so I'm super stoked for that. I love how Nintendo's pimping that game and doing the segments on the Nintendo Direct, actually dedicating a future Nintendo Direct to it, having the Nintendo Minute with a 20-minute episode on it. There's been some live streams of it. Sean Long of Nintendo Enthusiast was actually doing a live stream the other night, and I watched that, and the game looks absolutely amazing, so I cannot wait for that. I do think that overall the Nintendo Direct was packed with a lot of content. It had something for everybody. It was a little looser. I think that, Nintendo of America stepped up and was a little bit more personable. You know what I mean? Because, okay, yeah, you're a business, we're customers, you want to sell us a product, but you have to translate to us why that product is good. I understand that it's business, but you know what? This is gaming, man. Loosen up. You don't have to be all suit and tie with us, So I'm starting to see that a little bit more out of Nintendo of America, and I think this is a good direction. I have a positive outlook in the future of Nintendo. I think that the next year, I think they're going to send off the Wii U right with the 30th anniversary of Zelda. I think they're going to have one last really nice hurrah for the Wii U, closing it out with Zelda U at the end of next year. E3 2016, we'll get the reveal of the NX, and we'll see it launch in the fall of 2017. And I'll talk about all that, all the NX predictions and so forth, in the first official podcast, which may be coming in just a few days. We'll see what my schedule looks like. But I hope that you've enjoyed this and gotten a good feel of what we're going to try and accomplish here at the Fireside Podcast, and how goofy the name is just in general. Again, the credit goes to KC Liston for suggesting this. I hope that I am doing KC's suggestion the right way, and if you do like it, give him a big thank you in the comments below. And until the next episode, take care.